This is a great time to revisit the rule of adding the suffix es. Here's why. When I initially teach the suffix es, I teach it right after I teach digraphs. And so it's kind of like we're partially teaching it. And it's important to teach it at that point because they're being introduced to words that end in ch and that end in tch and that end in sh. And they're going to have to know that suffix es. But at that point, they haven't learned necessarily all of the endings that will require that es suffix. So when I first teach it, I teach students that if a word ends in s, x, z, ch, or sh, instead of using the suffix s, they're going to need to use the suffix es. And I go into why that is. And the simple answer is, if you just try to add s to any of these, it doesn't really work out. So think about the word bus. If you want to make buses, it'd just be bus if there wasn't that e. You need that vowel sound in between each of those sounds in order to say the word properly, to be able to hear all the sounds. So when I initially teach it, that's what they're learning. But then when we get to this point, when we've gotten to the silent E unit and we've taught DGE, GE, and we've taught CE representing the S sound, it's a great time to reteach the suffix ES. So really the rule is, for simplicity reasons in the beginning, I teach them the letters, like if it ends in these letters. But at this point, I can say it's actually more about the sounds. So if a word ends in these sounds, s, ch, sh, z, or j, that's when we need to add the suffix es in place of the suffix s. And the letter s represents that sound. The letter x, if you think about the sound, x, ends with that sound. And then after, during our silent E unit, we learned that CE also represents that S sound. So you will also be using ES with words that end in CE, like dances. And then CH, initially they just learn that the CH, that you add ES to the CH, but then once we know TCH, that's another one. Obviously SH at this point. We know that Z can be represented by Z, S, and actually Z, ZE, and SE when you do silent E. And then the new one is going to be the J sound. Because again, when I initially teach this, we haven't gotten into these graphemes, so I don't include that in my initial lesson. That's why this is a great time to revisit this lesson of the suffix es and reteach it with these new graphemes. So in the example that I gave earlier, did I say dodges? So there's dodges, it's really dodge plus suffix es, and we hear that sound j at the end, so we know we're going to be adding es and not just s. And in that case, we need to drop that e if we apply the dropping rule because we're adding a vowel suffix. So I hope that this was helpful. Let me know your questions in the comments.